This is the Voiceover Gurus Podcast. Real talk about the voiceover industry with your hosts, Linda Bruno and JJ Wilson. Linda, do you still have your ISDN circuit?
We can talk about all this. I mean, I'm just going to, let's just pretend like let's not pretend, we're rolling.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Voiceover Gurus Podcast. Very exciting episode today because it is our 100th episode. Can you believe we have done 100?
We've done 99.
In order to be current, I think we need to listen to them all right now and then pick up where we left off.
Okay.
Ready, go.
So hopefully you can tell that our special guest for our 100th is the man you actually hear at the beginning of all of our podcasts because
the beginning of most everything you see on television.
Right. Well, he does me a huge favor, Mr. Brian Lee.
Hi, everyone.
So, which reminds me, I do have to get those liners refreshed at some point when I can nail you down for that.
Right.
I'm sure everybody's bored of
hearing. Can you say that, Linda?
Well, I don't know. These days, I don't know. Refresh. Redone. So this is cool because Brian and JJ have never met.
We've never met.
Mm-mm.
No, we have never met. No.
And you've both been in this since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this, Brian?
At least 3 years.
Wow.
No, I started. Well, I mean, I was like Linda. I was in radio, so I don't know.
Advantage Productions.
Advantage, but before that, it was when my parents met at Channel 7 in Miami in the 60s, and then so I grew up with a dad that was a television anchorman and a news guy, so I was always around broadcasting. His name was Steve O'Brien. You wouldn't know him.
Of course I would. My father was Big Wilson.
Well, I don't know who that is.
He was
maybe
he was the morning man on IOD.
Oh, really? What years?
75, 76, 77.
Okay.
With Bill Calder, Mike Ranieri.
Okay.
And then my father went on to do Night Owl movies on Channel 6.
Oh, wow.
He started at midnight and did live commercials on television and played piano. And I know your dad.
Okay.
I was the van driver for the station. I drove the motorhome around.
Okay.
And, I'd already been in. From there, I went to Love 94.
Oh, yeah, I love 94. I remember that. And Linda lived there, and Linda went to school there. I was born there.
Yeah,
crazy.
Oh, Miami have a Miami connection.
Yeah, the Miami connection. Yeah.
Did you ever see Que Pasa?
No.
The show on PBS down there on WPBT?
No, I'm not that sophisticated.
Okay.
PBS. I watch Nickelodeon.
Gotcha.
No, my parents met there in the 60s. We actually moved out of Panama, out of Miami in 1972 to go to Sarasota. But
okay.
He was in news. He was in radio news and TV news, and then we moved to Panama City, and then we moved to Georgia, and then we moved to Fort Myers about 1985, and that's where I met Linda about 9 years after we moved here. So get this, Linda. I met you. We'd only lived here 9 years, and I've lived here 37. So now, to tell you how long that we've known each other,
I know.
That is just sick. That is just. Linda and I were kids.
Yeah, seriously,
like kids when we met.
Brian was responsible for my first ever voiceover job.
Really?
So because he had a production company, Advantage Productions. And you had the wonderful Peter Thomas would use your studio because you were the only one in town with an ISDN line. Yeah,
the only one. Yeah.
And who was he communicating with? Who was he connecting with?
Everybody. It was weird because somebody told me about an ISDN circuit. You could get one, and I don't even remember who it was, but it was 1993, and because Peter worked in New York, and so I found out about this, and so I called his wife Stella, and I said, if Peter ever needs an ISDN line, and no one even knew what that was, and still doesn't, and she says, well, Peter needs a satellite, and I'm like, that's kind of the same thing. And I said, well, here he is. You can talk to him. Hey, buddy. And I'm like, Peter, I got this digital line. You can. And he's like, well, I don't know what that is, but if I ever need it, I'll let you know. And like a month later, he goes, Brian, do you have that IDSN thing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I do. And then that started a 3-year relationship with me being his engineer at least 3 days a week, Thursday,
Wow.
Friday, and Saturday. And
That
so
was
that's where Linda met him. And,
Yeah.
My
And I
dad
remember-
used to ride the train with him from Westchester into New York.
Really?
But my dad was the morning man on NBC.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
before Howard Stern took his place. My dad was the original voice of Campbell's Soup, Van Camp's Pork and Beans.
No kidding.
So I'm
Wow.
a second generation. But when my kids were very small, I was living in Florida and decided I wanted to try the New York circuit. And I somehow landed an agent. I think I was 24. And I went up there and I stayed with friends in Westchester. I rode the train. I wanted to do everything as though I would do it if I lived there. And my very first audition, I'm sitting in a room and we're, reading over the scripts. And this older gentleman looked over at me and said, you don't look familiar. Are you new in the market? And I said, yes, my name is J.J. Wilson. He goes, hi, I'm Peter Thomas.
Oh, wow.
And I wet my pants. I handed him the script and I said goodbye.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But he said,
no.
oh my God, Biggie, I knew your dad. And we rode together on the train. And anyway, he was a wonderful man.
No, he was
wonderful man.
absolutely fabulous.
Yes.
And,
That was my introduction to fantastic narration, and
Yeah.
able to watch him work and
Yes.
listen was like, it's priceless. It's priceless
Yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
And what a
Yeah.
wonderful man.
In fact, I remember, I think, Linda, you came over. You might have come over to do something. Pardon me. You might have come over to do something. And then, and he was there. And then I think you probably came over at least a couple of times after that just to watch him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going to be here. And that was when it was the downstairs, the smaller studios, and it was very intimate. You'd walk into control. It was very dark and dim. And through a decent sized window, there was the master just sitting there.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We had so much fun. And he recorded, I was an engineer for a lot of his forensic files stuff.
Yes.
Oh,
And,
cool.
yeah, we had such a wonderful time. In fact, I just found a file. My dad is 82, and when my dad turned 70, Peter was a very good friend of the family, and we would always go down and see him and have dinner with him. And when he went out for some D-Day thing out in California, my sister lived out in San Diego, and he knew she lived out there and invited her to come with him to dinner at the award ceremony. And
Oh my God.
it was wonderful. It was just great. I just found an audio file of because I was doing this mock thing for my dad's 70th birthday, and it was, he would go, major funding for on PBS is brought to you by Canon, and Ford Motor Company. You do those. And so I had him do one for my dad's birthday, and, it's really cool. And he said, happy birthday, Steve, and whatever. Well, I just found the raw audio. I didn't know I had it. And it was him talking, saying, we all miss you and whatever. And what made me cry is because he worked with me, and I was starting to do network and national television stuff, promo. And he was like, buddy, I heard you on the air and you sound great. And just to have him, because I'm so proud of you. And he was so honest. And I've heard on the file, he says, and we're all so proud of Brian. And I have that on a file.
Nice.
And every time I listen to that, I'm just like, wow, because he really was. And he was with me when I wasn't doing anything. And then he was with me as my career grew into network television. Yeah, I heard you on the air last night, buddy. I heard you on those promos. You sound great. You got something special going on. And it's just him saying that. It's just like God saying it to you,
Right.
So.
He was nice enough to send my cassette to his agent in New York.
Cassette.
I had to test my cassette.
Wow.
Remember those?
Yeah. And his agent in New York. And I was like, oh my God, Peter Thomas. But of course, that means like nothing. Because then the agent was like, yeah, you're not
Here,
ready
look.
for New York. Yeah.
This is what a cassette is.
Wow. Do you have a pencil to go with it?
Yeah. So you can wind it together.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Brian, I've never known this. Why is it that you went towards promo? Was it just because you were already working with TV stations and radio stations?
I don't really remember. I really didn't start in promo. I mean, when I started freelancing, it's on levels of exposure. So when I was in the first time when I was right after I turned 21, I was a radio station. I was disc jockey and then production director, and those radio jobs you get. And then when I got hired to go to Richmond, Virginia, as a production director, it was way different than Little Fort Myers because some salesperson said, I did a commercial for, I remember Cavalier Hyundai. It was like, right now, Cavalier's 1.9% financing, APR, blah, blah. And the sales rep came to me at the radio station and said, can I have a copy of that? We're going to run it on the country station. And this is before there were whole groups of we were standalone FM. Mm-hmm. And K95 wants to run it. Go ahead and give me an invoice for like $150. And I'm like, why? Here's the dub. He goes, no, in this market, if a jock at a station does a spot and sends it to another station, like the client you get paid for that per station. So I'm like, I'd never heard of anything like that before. Doing a live remote in down here, you get paid $75, and in Richmond you got $100 an hour. So it was it's just another tier, a different market thing. So what I started doing is I started making money as a production director, just shipping my dubs to other stations in the market. So I didn't really start in promo. I started as a commercial guy, and then what I did is I started doing imaging for radio stations, like Q94 and Mix 103, that kind of stuff, and for freelancing. And so I started making enough money where I came back to Florida because I didn't want to live in Virginia anymore. So I came back here, and I still wasn't doing promo or anything. I was doing radio, just like Power 102, that kind of stuff. And I think where promos took over was I got hired in I think 1999 to voice the news promos for WB39 in Miami, which NBC was doing the news for this station. And somehow, some way, my very first agent said, hey, there's a TV station and they want you to do 2 5s, like a 10-second and 2 5 IDs. And so I'm like, tonight on WB39, plane crash, boom, whatever. And then, but I didn't get the chance to work at the TV station. I worked with the news division. So it wasn't about promo. It was really about news teasers. Yeah. And then one day, a guy that I still work with to this day, he's a director of operations at INSP, which is a very little known cable network that does like all Westerns now, but they are like a top 8 network. It's crazy. He had to hire me. He didn't hire me. He called me. He goes, hey, I'm doing a news promo. And I just talked to him for a few minutes, and I said, well, who does your voices like Will and Grace tonight at 6 or The Simpsons, every night at 7. And he goes, oh, we have another voice guy that does that on the station. And I said, well, I want to do that. And I said, can I try out for it? And he said, yeah, sure. I hate the guy we're using anyway, because he rewrites everything and says I'm a terrible writer and his voice isn't even that good. So that was the very first promo I did. It was the WB39 late night block party. And I kind of did it in a voice like this. WB39 late night block party. Will and Grace, The Simpsons. And we had so much fun. He ran to his boss and he goes, I want this guy to be our station entertainment voice guy. And they said, okay. And so that was the beginning of a retainered voiceover gig like 24 years ago.
Wow, and yourself in that position, which is it's interesting.
And then it was owned by Tribune, who had other stations. And so they heard me in Miami and blah, 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 blah. And then it started picking up. So it really turned into television affiliate promo work, not national, not trailers, nothing like that. So it's not like I didn't want to do spots. I just didn't. It was some more. I just went in that direction because that's the way it went until I started picking up more and more TV stations. So, and then that turned into like news because stations started getting affiliates, like NBC and ABC affiliates, and they have like, Channel 7 Action News at 6 kind of stuff. And so I've never looked back. That's really the pure foundation of what I do is contractual contracts with affiliate television, some 40 television stations around the country. That's cool. And radio stations, the Mix 102, Power 103, that stuff too. So that's kind of like that's the money you can count on every month is the contractual money. And then everything else is like network bookings and stuff like that.
Our stories are similar in the beginning because I was a production director. I faked a demo. I had somebody build me a production demo because I didn't know what I was doing, and got hired at a triple radio station. And, I was responsible for writing, reading,
What market?
recording, and
Where were you?
giving. Miami.
Oh, okay, you were in okay. That was okay.
WOIF, WNWS, and whatever else it was. And somewhere about 2 years in, after recording, I figured 2,000 spots, which was my college. One guy one day, just like you, said, "Hey, I really like that read. Do you mind if I run it on our TV station?" And I went, "Really? Sure, here you go." And he said, No. Here's $100. And I went,
Right.
Aha. And it started happening more and more and more and more. And after 3 years, my boss called me in and he said, "Man, I love your work. It's just great." And he said, "You're never fucking here anymore." He said, "You're always out doing sessions." And I said, "Yeah, but I come in at night and get them all done." He goes, "No, my salespeople need somebody here." And he looked at me and said, "I want you to take 2 hours for lunch, go home to your wife, and tell her that you want to quit and go freelance voiceovers full time." And I was doing more of the spots, not so much the promos.
Right.
And she said yes, because she left me 3 days later. But anyway, and I have never again, like you, looked back.
Yeah.
And the difference between us is that God, I don't know how many sessions you must do a day. 30, 40?
Yeah.
Okay.
More than that.
It seemed like I was doing 20 a day, but I had to drive there.
I
drove.
Well, so did I.
I drove 87,000 miles one day going back and forth to BVI on Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Because I'd get home and they go, "Oh, the prices of all the cars on Ford changed." And I go, "Good."
Well, you lived out there, so it wasn't that far. I lived in Fort Myers with Linda.
Yeah.
And so I would get a call and they would say, "Can you be here at 8?" And that was like, a 2-hour drive for Linda. What we should take across the state. And I'd walk into his studio and then it would be like one line. And it would be like, "Visit Fort Lauderdale, call 1-800-FLORIDA-FUN." Okay, great, bye. And then drive back. And then they'd call you and go, "Can you come back? We have a pickup." And it was like, $200. It's like, okay, let's see. That's 10 hours of driving, the gas, and I made $400. So on Voiceover Miami, remember that?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So at least you live there. So you could drive over there and do it.
It did help. It did help. But I didn't know you were from the Miami area.
Huh? Yeah. 100 Southland near Kendall.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I lived on a Surfside 6 houseboat across from the Fontainebleau when I first moved there from New York.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
My mother hated it. We had to buy a camper to sit outside.
Yeah.
I don't like the rocking. And I went, "Then why in the hell are we living on a boat?"
Linda, when did you weren't born in Miami, right?
No, I'm from Texas.
Right. That's right.
Right.
Well,
And so your earliest memories are Texas or Miami?
Well, I went to Texas and then I went to Colorado and then I went to different parts of Florida. I was in Miami for 7 years, my high school years. And then
I did her first demo.
Auditioning. Yes, he did. He created the
First demo. Yeah.
So we all know Doug Turkel.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I love him.
Announcer.
Yes.
Yeah, announcer Doug. I love Doug.
Yeah,
The first time Brian and I ever met, you remember this, Brian?
Yes.
Oh, wait, is this a good story?
I remember.
It was the first time I had ever been on the air at a country station.
I was in love.
Country 101.9.
I was in love.
And I was so nervous. And I'm sitting there at this board, and in comes Brian with
just an engineer guy.
Yeah, because you liked to tweak stations, right?
Right.
Can I say tweak now?
Yeah, you can say tweak. Tweaking was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. That was the 80s.
Right. Now we twerk. No, it was I came in to mess with Paul Orr's on-air processing is what it was. And
I do that all the time.
Yeah. And Linda was part-time on the air, and we just walk in. I don't even know how we got in the building. I think she had to let us in through a phone intercom or something. Was like, "Who are these creepy guys coming in?" And and then walked into the studio. And here's Linda. You wouldn't think that you would walk in and find the part-time jock dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
Linda was put together like a glam mag.
Yeah. 6-inch heels.
I mean, just, whatever. And I'm just like, oh, and you want to tell him what I did? Do you remember what I did?
The Addy Awards, right?
Yeah, I asked her out. I didn't ask her out. I asked her, "Hey, would you like?" Because I think we were talking, and she, I think you were interested in voiceover, and
yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, this is my total in with Linda Bruno. I have, I got to go to the Addy Awards. She's like, wow, no, she goes, no, that's okay.
I had a boyfriend.
And I'm like, crap. And I don't even remember the next time I spoke to you. I don't remember. I don't even know. I don't think you gave me your number. You may have, but I don't.
Our paths crossed.
I don't know. I think
I went to work for the state for K Rock 96 K Rock.
K Rock.
Yep.
They're there, and then, yeah, I don't know. Somehow we connected that. I think you called me because I think you had something, and you were like,
you think I called you, Linda?
Yeah, I know what he had.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I can't say that.
You think I called you? Well, you're goddamn right I did. So Linda started coming to the studio and doing voiceover work. Yeah, just started hiring her to do voiceover work. And I think that was 94. Mm-hmm. So 94, 95.
96.
Yeah, I think we went flying a couple times.
We did, 96.
You know, it was a private pilot. Yeah, and then she left.
You were a pilot?
Yeah, I'm a pilot.
I was a glider pilot for a while.
Yeah. It was fun. She liked to fly. It was kind of fun. We would just kind of fly down the coast, like do little evening flights down the coast and back, and it was just for fun. And then she moved away.
Motors.
What's that?
Planes with motors better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That landing was always like, oh, gee, if I miss, well, bye.
Yeah, the landing was assured in a glider.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my first experience having like good money making VO, because I wound up booking car spots through your company, and they used me for like the 5 different
the Freeland Auto Group.
Yes, and I was making like $1,700 a month off that, and for somebody who was making $18,000 a year at Rock, it was like
that's almost 10%.
It was incredible.
Do you know? Here's a crazy thing, but I have behind me on the bookshelf back there all the masters from Advantage Productions. Everything that was ever done. There's
that's great.
Probably over 100 2-hour DATs back there. Of course, the database got lost. So I don't know what's on what. Chronologically, I had to figure it out by listening to something, and my DAT machine broke. So it's not like I'm popping them in and listening to them, but anything that you ever did at Advantage Productions is mastered digitally.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Wouldn't that be the most embarrassing freaking thing to listen to?
Yes. Oh my God.
like
so cool.
Here's what I sounded like here's Linda Bruno in 1994.
Yeah, it's bad.
1995. It's bad. I don't want to listen to me in 2018. So, but
Brian.
Yeah.
I was, when I was 19, since I was raised in the era of the older music, the big band era and so on, I was working at WKAT. Do you remember that station on Miami Beach?
Yeah. That's where Lynn Russell worked, I think.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I was doing evenings, 7 to midnight. I was beating Neil Rogers somehow. And I came out of a music set. And I
said, the ratings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I said, that was. And those were the Mills Brothers. And I said to myself, I said to the audience, I said, gee, I wonder what they're doing now. And I hit the commercial and the hotline rang. It was my mother. And I said, hi, Mom, what's up? She goes, the Mills Brothers are dead. They're not doing anything, honey.
Right, yeah.
So I had to go back on the air and go, oops.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, dear. Well, bless them all.
I know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
If you want to visit them,
they're taking a dirt nap.
Right. Yeah. I did the big band thing too, because when we moved from Georgia to Fort Myers, and I was 15, I went through the phone book to try to find a job, and there was a station. It was K-Rock's AM, Linda, it was 770 AM, but it was owned by a standalone company out of Fort Lauderdale. And the general manager's like, yeah, we need part-time. And I sounded like this. And I'm like, okay. And I go over, and it was big band on AM radio.
There you go.
Those are the Mills Brothers. And here's the Carpenters. And after that is Jack Jones. And
Guy Lombardo.
I sounded like this. And then I only had to do that for 5 months until I got a part-time job at the top 40 station. Did I sound like this? Yeah. Here's Phil Collins. But that big band. I can appreciate the big band music now. I can listen to it now. I love to, when I cook, I love to put on the cable box with the the big band music and all the Ella Fitzgerald, and I just love it so much. And it's fun to just to season your food and chop and cook and have a glass of wine. But man, when you were 15 listening to that, you're just going, kill me. Awful. I want to hear Whitney Houston.
Man.
Oh yeah. And Linda did radio. Linda, you did part-time. I'm trying to think. Did you do country first and then rock?
Yes, I went for country. I was only there for like 6 months because then Beasley's found out that I was working at another station and said, we're going to offer you some more money if you come back here. So I went.
So to do radio?
Yes, just to do the weekends because I was working in the business office.
Right. See, the thing about when we did all this, you look back at it in the time when I met you in 94 to the time that you left in 97, it was like 3.5 years, right? So like 5, 6, 7, 3.5 years, maybe something like that. And that window of time when we're that age, we're in our 20s, and it's like, it seemed like a big chunk of time. And now that same window of time goes by like that, it's just like, boom. Like, how long have you been in New York?
Well, since 97. So God knows years. Yeah, I know.
This is crazy. This
has been my longest.
My daughter went to my high school.
Really?
Yeah. And now she's just about to get her master's degree, finish up her master's degree at the University of Florida. So it's
Brian, I didn't even go to my high school.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of time.
Well, when you get to 41st Street, you can either go left to the beach or right to school. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if your dog's barking, this will be the last time you ever hear them.
So Brian, let's talk about your routine, because that's I'm sure that's fascinating for a lot of people.
Right. What do you do first thing in the morning? I mean, do you go to the bathroom? Do you brush your teeth?
Well, these days I go to the bathroom several times in the morning.
Very good. I do that at night.
Yeah. Well, let's see. It's the bulk of the work is TV, is television stations. And so I try not to go to work until about noon. That lets because I'll work until 6 or 7 at night. And if I'm on a movie trailer campaign, that could be 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, because Los Angeles doesn't care. They just want it when they want it. They just call your manager. And if you want to be on the trailer campaign, they're like, need Brian. There's none of this, like, we may need him. Let's call his manager sometime during the day and say, we might need Brian, give him a heads up, or something like that. But, no, it doesn't work that way. It's such sought after work, and that the manager, I could be sitting down to eat. I'm a little bit more of a dick about it now. In other words, I think early on in my career, I would leave my grandfather's funeral to go it'd be like, hey, we need you. I'm like, okay, hurry up here. Okay, let's go. Get in the car and go home. But because it was just sought after, coveted. And now if I'm out and an opportunity comes up for an audition and I'm out to dinner and it's not convenient, I'll just go, no, I'm not going to do it. Because you get older and there's a little more self-respect about what you'll do and what you won't do and what you'll, what's courtesy. And I think we've all kind of, gone through that.
You hit 62. You
go
no, like 90% of the time.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. So it's not that I don't want the work. It's just that if there's something important going on, it's just that I always feel that there will always be work, at least enough work out there. Yeah. But the day starts with coming in, and like I'm looking in my inbox right now. The first email I got was at 7:56 this morning from someone named Linda asking me something about a link for this video thing. Then I got something from South Africa, which is on a whole different.
Can I get an ounce of that?
Sorry. What time is it in South Africa?
I don't think they have any watches, Brian.
It's 4:36 p.m. in South Africa.
Asking you for money.
What's that?
One of those African princes.
No, it's KFM, and it's KFM in Cape Town. So they're like, could you read this thing, this script for I voice KFM in in Cape Town, South Africa. So that would be normal. Here's something at 9 o'clock from a station in Pennsylvania, Johnstown. Here's one at 10 o'clock from Oklahoma City, blah, 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 blah. And then that's it so far for today's stuff. And then as we move through the morning, then it's all going to come racing in, crashing in.
So how many sessions do you think you do on average a day?
60, 70 on average.
Now, does your voice get tired, or you're used to
No,
that?
Never. No, that never gets tired, ever. Yeah. Well, it depends what you do. I think we all do this
shorter usually.
We all do this for a living.
On Channel 7.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my God, I need a break.
60, 70 a day, sounds like a lot.
Yeah,
like this station in Oklahoma City is 10 seconds. The Forewarned Storm team is proud to welcome the newest addition to the team, and I guess is a coveted or a.
Did you record that? Because you could just send it off now.
Well, it's recording, but it's going to Linda. Good. Linda, can you send that to the station for me?
Yeah. Hey, whatever happened to the Japanese station that we did?
She will, Junko. She'll come out of the last time you did something is when I did something, because she always orders you and me together.
Crazy stuff, JJ. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I just hope there's no L's in their call letters. That's all.
Yeah.
W-L-O-O.
Yeah. And R's and L's. But
I know.
No, the last time you did something for them, Linda's the last time I did something for them. And she may show up every blue moon to do something, but there was a time when it was regular work in March and October. We would do regular stuff, but like I said, everything changes. I don't know. Maybe I found this out. The company that did all that work for the Japanese stations in Tokyo was a company that supplied music to perfume shops.
Really?
It's just whatever, it's just however I'm talking to her. I'm like, how did you get into this? Well, I were at a shop where we, you'd be better to say it.
So the promo, we know that's your life, but what do you think is the most difficult? Have you ever had like the most difficult voiceover job that you're like, oh my gosh, this job is really, really hard?
Screamer stuff.
Yeah.
Screamer stuff.
Like I do stuff for the monster truck stuff. That's just, monster trucks are coming to Albany, that kind of stuff. And,
AJ does
Bigfoot, Monster Mash, that kind of stuff is just in a long time ago, it was fun. But when they send you 10 pages because you're doing the entire country, it's coming to Sacramento, it's coming to Austin, it's coming to Michigan, Albany, that kind of thing. And you're just doing it over and over and over. It's just, and then you get to the end of it and it's
Huckapaloogie time. Oh,
Linda's favorite kitty.
Elwood hates me.
Elwood hates everybody.
I love it.
Elwood hates everybody, don't you? So Eden hates me.
We had a special bond.
But that's really.
I gave my cat a bath the other day.
I did too.
Yeah,
took a shower with him. Don't judge me.
The first stuck to my tongue, but other than that, it was.
It's funny. Yeah, Elwood, he's 15. He's awesome.
15?
15. He's great.
Wow,
he looks great.
Do you still hit the litter box?
Linda's like, he's great. He used to paw me, hiss at me, bite me. Stupid cat. But that's the hardest stuff. Everything else is pretty much pretty easy to do. It's kind of in the wheelhouse. It's where, I think I've evolved, probably a reinvention of myself, probably at least half a dozen times in my career, kind of following what has become more conversational or whatever. And so news promos that were more ominous and deep, like, poison in the community, is now, it's more of a conversational, like read. It's more like, it's kind of just relaxed, like poison in the community, people dying. People are concerned. Tonight on Channel 7, we look at what the problem is. So it's a lot easier to do, though, to work now than it was back in the day when everything was, just so.
Channel 7 News.
Yeah, Channel 7 Action News. If I had to do this all day, it probably would be a little bit more difficult. But it's now it's just a little bit less sensationalized, and so it's really just yelling. If I have to yell all day or do when I had to do those spots for there was a car dealership up in Middletown, like Middletown, New York, up that area, and there was a guy that sent me stuff, and he always sent me way too much copy, so I had to go way too fast, and it was Poughkeepsie, Middletown, and it was real yelling, and Ford, Chevys, Dodges, and then I would go, God, I went so fast. I know this is within time. Oh, 1:08. It just
yeah.
And so he retired, and the spots went away, and good. So
yeah,
some of
the clients that go away are good.
Yeah. So I don't really. I think I do get kind of tired. I mean, there are things that I know I can't do. Like, for instance, I couldn't go and, this sounds crazy, I couldn't go and sit around a campfire at night on a cold fall night and like drink wine in front of a fire on a cold night and talk until 2:00 in the morning. That would destroy my voice for whatever reason. Something like that would destroy my voice. But as far as taking care, no. Don't smoke.
You should start.
No,
wonderful.
I don't smoke. Hydration, water is really, really plays a huge deal. And also, believe it or not, vitamins, not like take a bunch of vitamins, but if my voice is just starting to feel over time like weak and I don't have the control, it's usually low on like B12 or magnesium and D.
Oh, interesting.
It is crazy. I didn't want to admit it because people say vitamins are crap, and I know it's like, God, I'm not feeling great or kind of draggy in the voice, but if I'll go pop some magnesium and some vitamin D and C, and then I'll forget I did it. And then at like 10 or 11 in the morning, it'll like kick in when I'm reading. All of a sudden it's like, whoa. And the voice is strong and I can get through things. And it's like my brain works better, right? I can read better. I can, everything's firing faster. And I know there's something to it. And if anybody doesn't believe me, they can go to hell.
Low D is really bad. Mine is 16 right now.
Yeah.
But
vitamin D.
Other medications. It's supposed to be above 30.
Yeah. Well, I take Nexium, the stomach acid medicine, and that kills B12. Yep. And my doctor's like, you got to take a supplement. And if I forget over time, I can feel it. And then I'll take some and see. So hydration. And the other thing is, which I don't do enough of, is cardiovascular. God, if you do cardiovascular exercise, like get on an elliptical machine for 30 minutes, get your heart rate up, and do that 2 to 3 days.
Laughing.
I'd be dead.
Yeah. Well, what you do is you right before you die, you slow down so you don't die.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. But that exercise makes a huge difference. Like if I do cardio, which I'm guilty of this, sometimes I get into it and sometimes I don't. But when I do it, it's just like I walk in the studio and I feel like a young guy. Yeah. Like everything is strong. Everything is firing on all cylinders. So, the older I get, the harder it is. And the more you have to take care of yourself.
Showering is a pain in the ass now.
Yeah, I try not to do that too much. But anyway, so we're getting off on, Linda asked me a question, and of course I take 20 minutes to answer it. That's been always my bad thing.
And we ended up on shower, which is good.
Shower and vitamins. And vitamins. That's what we do.
What is the job you are the most proudest of?
Wouldn't that be?
I think there was a moment in time where I got tunnel vision and it almost sent me into tears. But it wasn't a really big thing to anybody but me. Well, first of all, I get to say right now, and everything will come to an end. But right now, I get to say that I'm on probably the most heard voice on television, on affiliate television, because I'm in so many large markets. Or so many markets, period. But I think that it's hard, Linda. It's it's a privilege to be on anything. I've been on CNBC for 15 years. I'm the signature voice for MLB Network. I'm the hallmark voice for NBC Sports. And then I voice CBS2 in New York and LA and Chicago and Philly and Denver and Dallas. These are all big CBS O&O stations. And it's just, I don't think I ever take it for granted. I think that whenever I open up a file, and I don't care if it's a tiny station or the biggest station in the country, it's such a privilege to work, and I love what I do so much, and I'm just proud that I'm working. I'm just proud. I'm just happy, and I'm so lucky, and I'm so fortunate. And there's just not a day that goes by that I don't recognize that.
I don't recall.
Awesome.
Did you get affected by COVID at all?
No.
Your business because of you do news? And
no.
Yeah.
No. Well, movie trailers. Yeah, the movie trailers stopped.
Yeah.
All the movies stopped. But like I said, my foundation is contractual TV. The only bad thing about COVID is that's all I talked about. COVID,
Yes.
COVID on every TV station out there. So, but it hurt a lot of people, and a lot of people lost their jobs and lost their lives, and it's awful. But anyway, back to the I think the time that I ever, the biggest thing was I gotten hired to do Ashton Smith, a big movie trailer guy.
I've heard of him.
He was the dramatic voice for NBC. He was like an whole new, and he started doing movie trailers. And at the time, NBC required you to be at NBC in LA, and they would want you there because they had ISDN, but they hadn't really embraced it. And so Ashton was expected to be at NBC from like 1 in the afternoon until like 5:30. Just show up and sit there. Okay, we need you. Okay, so sometimes he would have 10 promos, and sometimes he would have none. And you get paid by the promo and the tag. So it wasn't like he was getting paid to sit there when there was nothing to be done. And his movie trailer career had blown up. He was like the new Don LaFontaine. He was blew up, and he was making millions. And so, and you still had to go to those studios to do those trailers. And most of the time. And so he got fed up with NBC and having to go. And so he says, I don't need you anymore, and I don't want to be here anymore. And they're like, fine. And his manager was my manager. And actually his manager became my manager because they were like, oh no, Ashton is leaving NBC. We got to get another guy into NBC Network to be a replacement voice. And I happened to be in the right place at the right time. And they were like, let's see if we can manage Brian Lee. And so they came to me, and they were movie trailer managers. And I'm like, are you kidding? Don't try and stop me. And so they sent a demo to NBC, and I got it. And so I started working for NBC, doing their like Deal or No Deal and all of their the Apprentice and Deal or No Deal.
You were doing it remotely.
I was doing it remotely, but I had but actually I was traveling to Los Angeles too back then, and I was doing it at NBC. Oh. So anyway, this is back when they were still faxing you your scripts, and I had e-fax, and so it would show up as a PDF in the email. Yeah. And because their audio rooms were they had a room producer that would just fax the scripts. And I was doing the first show I was asked to do was it's called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. And it was a new summer show in 2006. And then I was reading it, and then I got something else. And then we were getting ready to disconnect off of ISDN. And they said, oh, we have something else we want you to read. Hold on. It's coming through now. It's not on any kind of letterhead. Somebody just typed it out really fast, and we fed it in the machine. And when you do promos for network, you hear the audio. They play the audio down the ISDN line, and they play a special set of tracks that are delayed, that are actually like 30 frames ahead of what they hear in their own studio, that feed down the ISDN line. So by the time you hit it and it gets back to them, it's in sync with what they're watching. And I got the piece of paper, and I looked at it, and I almost started crying. And it was one line, and I was looking at it, and they have to roll the audio for you to read it to, the music or the segment or whatever. So you read to picture, in my case, sound. and there's 3 beeps, and it goes beep, 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 and then it starts. And I'm just looking at it, and my hand's shaking. And I'm doing promos for these people, and my hand is shaking. And the music starts, and the line was, "You're watching the National Broadcasting Company, NBC."
Oh my God, I got chills.
And it was just, they didn't even calling it the National Broadcasting. For somebody up in the creative department decided that they wanted to do some kind of a bump. And it was this full blown orchestral 10-second thing with harps and horns and just, and it was just when it hit and the music hit and went right in my brain. And I got a chance to say that.
That's awesome.
And when I had said NBC at the end, a national broadcasting company, like NBC. And when I said NBC, the chimes hit. And so it was like National Broadcasting Company, NBC, and went dun, 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 right under my letters. And then faded out. I was just like, and it never aired. I don't think I ever saw it air.
Really?
But it's probably somewhere in the archives. I swear to God, I think I would like pay almost any amount of money to have someone dig into the video archives and say it was sometime in 2006. I don't know when it was. I don't know what session it was for. I don't know, because there was no SKU number. There was no ISKI code. You couldn't say, oh, it's promo, NBC 059672, which they could look it up, find the archive. It was just written on a piece of paper. It was probably sent up to Vince Manzi or John Miller or someone to listen to it was probably like some kind of a test thing. I don't know. But out of every movie trailer I've ever done, every campaign, every channel, every network, everything I've ever done, that was the thing that affected me most.
That's so cool.
That I got to the point where I was like, oh my God. The only other awe that I've ever been in a studio was watching Peter Thomas do his thing.
That was huge.
So there you go.
That ranks up there with mine. Mine was I walked into a studio having no idea what I was doing, and they handed me this round speaker-like thing. And I said, what is this? And he said, it's the new fart detector. And you're going to be the voice. And I said, I have made it now.
Right.
Warning,
Zenith.
Step back. Fart detected. So that was the highlight of
the zenith of your career.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes. And so what I did was I went into Spencer's and I pushed all of the buttons on all of the fart
and it was
detectors.
all you.
Yes, it was. Yes, it
Spencer
was.
Gifts.
Then
people are walking by and you're picking it up and going, this is me.
Yes.
Listen.
Yeah. They asked me to leave very nicely though.
Uh-huh. What about you, Linda?
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
No, we're kidding.
Not joking. Yours is a joking one.
Oh, yes, mine was a joking one.
I don't know. I've had a few really, really, really cool things. I mean, proud doing live announce at Radio City. I've talked about that.
Oh, wow.
Meeting Meryl Streep and all that, which was cool.
I wouldn't have been nervous.
Yeah, I was too focused on the live announce. I was freaking out because I was saying all these beautiful.
Hanging out with Meryl here. We're just hanging out.
But you just reminded me, I was the voice of TLC for like 3 years, and I'd have to go into the city and do the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking up, and there was this limo, and out comes James Earl Jones out of the studio I was about to walk into. And he just kind of waved to me, and I'm like, hi. And I was like, that's James Earl Jones.
This is the fart detector.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Another question.
I am your fart.
I
am your farter.
Brian, I know you very well. But, these days in the way that the voiceover community is, everybody is out and about, and they're going to conferences, and they're going to awards shows, and they're, doing all this stuff. How come we never see you at any of that stuff?
Because he's too busy working.
I want to know what Brian thinks.
The reason I don't go is because I can't see everybody. I just have so many clients, and when are you talking about like the Promax, Station Summit?
No, the Red Carpet
I'm
Awards.
talking about just voiceover people.
Right, where you have to pay for your own trophy. Those.
What do you? That I don't go out to these things or see people. What is the question again?
Yeah, so like they have conferences. It's a really popular thing. Voiceover actors have conferences, and it's usually led by a voiceover actor or a team of them, and they want to get everybody together. And then they have like, different rooms you can break out into, and you hear someone speaking about promo, someone speaking about narration. And then they do an award show thing where people get nominated for best commercial.
Okay. Why don't I do that? I don't. No one's ever asked me to go. No one's ever asked me to go. People ask me to teach.
Yeah,
a lot of people ask me to teach.
I've asked you to teach.
I know. I mean, a lot of people ask me to teach, and maybe one day I will. I don't know, but I really don't. I think JJ, he's right. I'm just busy. Sure. I'm just busy, and to go out, I don't know. There's one of these things. I actually performed a wedding in New York on Sunday.
How did that go?
It went fine. It went fine.
Was it your wedding?
No, it wasn't my own wedding. It was it was actually somebody, the producer that worked for Viacom that I've worked with for 7 years, and he and his fiance, they got on the phone and said, "We're going to ask you something really strange. Would you be able to officiate our wedding in New York?" And I'm like, "What?" And I was thinking, it's like, wow. And for some reason I said yes, because I knew him and I love him as a guy. He's great. And so I came down and did it. And yeah, there was like 300 people there, and I had officiated. But the thing about it is there was a lot of industry people in the audience for Viacom and other and so he wrote a script where I introduced myself. And you can ask Linda that I'm with adulation. I'm just not
into it.
I'm not into adulation. And so it was just like, ladies and gentlemen,
can we say that?
What? Adulation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because I've
adulation.
Yet, so
yes. And I didn't. I looked at the script and I was just like, it said, "Hi, I'm Brian Lee. Some of you may know me from." And it was like Shark Tank, CNBC. And he said he wanted me to do the voice.
Oh.
And so everybody is this huge. What is it? Cipriani and
Cipriani's.
Yeah, in Lower Manhattan. And this was just a few days ago, and NBC Sports. And
he wanted you to say it in the promo voice.
Yes, Sunday Night Football on NBC, and I'm like, and I'm doing this. But it went over really well. My fear was like, I would go, "I'm Shark Tank," or it was something else, or there was another line in it. I think he made me do like 3 samples. One was football, one was Shark Tank, and I can't even remember the other 1 or 2. But I was looking out in the audience when I did it, and people were laughing, and I'm like, good. Because I'm thinking people are just going to go, "Why is he talking about himself?" And but it went over really well, and so
you married someone. Congratulations!
So I actually married, by the power vested in me. So why was I talking about this? What was the question again? I don't even remember.
Now I know how busy you are, because I think you went like 13 years without taking a vacation at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you've decided, yes, I'm going to give myself that time.
Yeah.
So are you? Yeah. Or do you just leave once a year again, or do you do?
I take the week off between Christmas and New Year's, unless I'm on some kind of a movie trailer campaign or something. And those are easy because those are like 3 lines. Mm-hmm. Rolling Stone calls it amazing, rated B and rated PG, and then leave. I could do that on my iPad. That's not a big deal. But yes. Over the past 12 years, I have decided, well, not the last 2 because of COVID, but before that, it was like, yes, I'm taking a Thursday, Friday, the whole next week off. I'll be back on Monday. And yes, I've gotten a chance to travel the world in the last 12 years, and I had not done that. And so I've gone everywhere from.
Yeah, you were tied to your microphone.
Yeah, everywhere from Bora to France. And
I went to Maryland yesterday.
well, that's great. Good
Yeah.
old Maryland.
Yep.
That's
Great
awesome.
tennis there.
Linda used to travel a lot too. I remember years ago you wanted Paris. I'm going to Paris.
I went to Paris 11 times.
And you had to Linda had to sync her clock with the states because
I was doing Disney, HSN, yep. And
you're putting time aside to work.
I would rent an apartment.
Right.
And set it up. I'd bring my little mobile studio. Worked out really nicely. It's one of those like bucket list things. I want to work in another country and live there for a week, 2 weeks. I actually rented an apartment for 2 weeks.
I think I brought equipment with me. I got off the schedule, I think at least twice. I was in Lake Como, Italy about 6 years ago and brought some equipment with me. And did one thing for NBC Sports, for that matter, for Sunday Night Football. And then there was another time when we were in, I don't know, some other port of something, coastal thing for Italy. And I did like one thing. And I don't know why I made the exception, but all the other times, the phone off, no gear, no anything. And it's quite liberating. It's like, see, this is the way I look at it now. A week goes so fast. Yes. That we in our minds think if we're gone for a week, we're going to lose every client, every job, all our money. Everyone will hate us. They'll think we're irresponsible or not dedicated or just blah. But Monday through Friday goes by like that. And it's just like they don't even know you're really gone. And then when you get back there, it's like, we missed you so much. So, so back to your, no, I don't go to the voiceover seminars and everything because I just, unless I have something to do there, I don't know. I just don't, I don't think that, what am I going to get out of it for me personally? All I'm going to do is inconvenience a bunch of clients and go. And am I going to, why do people go to those? Do they go to learn? Do they go to network? Do they go to get business? I get the people that are coaching are looking for students, and that's why they go. And I know the students go to gain knowledge. So I think it's a great thing for students. If they have the money and they're going to travel to Atlanta or whatever to do this, then they learn a lot because they're learning from people that are coaching them and giving them, advice. Well, I'm a promo guy. I don't, if someone said, what would I do? Like, for instance, the Promax Station Summit, I get beat up. But here's the reason I don't go to the Promax thing. Because every TV station that I voice is going to go there with several of their producers. So that's over 100 people. When people say, are you going to be at Promax? And if I say, yes, they'll say, call me. How can I call 100 people? Yeah. There's how can I have drinks with 100 people? Let's have a drink. It's like, so if some vice president in charge of creative who, and see, to every station, they don't care about other stations. They said, Brian Lee is our guy. And so they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's to them, it's just them and me. It's not me and 100 other people. So the problem is that if I get a call or if someone asks me, and I don't see them, I'm sorry, I can't while I'm there. I would love to, but I can't see you. Yeah. The person who pays me to voice their television, I can't see you.
Right. Or I'm not available right now because I'm already with you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's that. And so I do this over and over and over again, and I get asked to, and then my agent pushes me and says, you should go. And I'm like, no, I can't believe that someone would say, you were Promax and you didn't call me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, why didn't you look me up? I would have loved to have seen you. It's easier to have a FaceTime or a Zoom call with a client than it is to go to New York, see 10 people and piss off 110 people.
Right.
And that's why I don't go.
And have the guy at airport security look at your microphone and go, what is this?
Yeah. Actually, I went through security.
They start wiping it.
I actually went to security with this. Like this. Like, look out. I've got a microphone.
Oh.
Look out. And
sure,
with this, and usually they stop and they're like, what is this? What are all these iPads and headphones and
you have chewing gum in there?
Yeah, everything is in there. Chewing gum, glasses, a toothbrush, you name it, it's in there. Okay. But they don't This time they didn't stop me. So, but that's the reason I don't go, Linda,
Gotcha.
is because there's just not it's too difficult.
Yeah.
It's
I can
too
un-
difficult to go
I understand
and
it.
see everybody. And I don't think, and I think it's easier, more respectful not to go, actually. But somebody said, why don't you do a, not a symposium, but a, like get a room and,
Get a room.
get a room, get a banquet and a year out and start to promote it, and to where I could bring something to the table with producers about timing and music and creative and doing promos and better ways to, mix audio and things like that. And I think that I think that would be successful if I could do some kind of if I promoted it and that I could probably get a lot of people there. But then again, they would all be coming up to meet me. And so that would be like, hi. Look, I've gone to parties, like agency parties, and somebody will come up to me and go, hi, John Smith, Channel 7. Hey, how you doing? You all got name tags on. And then I've got their attention, and then someone else will come up and go, Brian,
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff from, Channel 12, and then someone else. And then I'm trying to introduce people. Oh, Jeff, this is Bob. Bob, this is Jeff. And then you get 4 people and then 5 people. And then I'm standing here and they're all around me and I don't know how to get out of it. And I don't know if they don't know each other. But the thing about it is that all these people, they know me. It's my relationship with them. And so I have this kind of fear that it's just like,
I know exactly.
Like, hi, this is Linda, my wife, and this is Janet, someone I'm sleeping with. It's like, it's just, you can't.
Well, it's like you're hosting a party and no one knows each other. And so
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you have a bunch of people in your house that are. So how do you know Brian? He voices my station.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Does he ever piss you off and not get his work back to you on time? Yes. Let's ask
I'm doing
him.
the first 4-hour podcast.
So that's
I gotta go, Linda.
You do?
I
Okay.
do.
All right. Sorry. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Absolutely. Hope I hope it was productive.
It was great. You helped us celebrate our 100th.
Hey, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That's absolutely fabulous. I'm very and you do it on a regular basis or just whenever you want to? Is it like every
couple times a month?
Yeah, a couple times a month and everything.
We're kind of loose.
Yeah.
That's good.
We've had almost 50,000 downloads now.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I know.
By the way, I get emails from people saying they heard me, when you and I have done them.
Yes.
I heard you on the podcast. So
now you're going to be heard on this one too.
Yeah, so that's great.
All right, JJ's
very cool.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. You guys,
thank you for joining us.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. If you ever lose your voice or anything, give me a call.
I will. I'll send you all my work.
Okay.
Good. Voiceover Gurus Podcast. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Voiceover Gurus Podcast. Real talk about the voiceover industry. Learn more about us and get coaching at voiceover.guru.